Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and this is the second video in this new series I'm doing about this rig that sort of sparked my energy back. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you could watch the first video in this series where I haven't really been playing for quite a long time or making videos, and I've been making an effort to come back and finally found something that's sort of given me that creativity. But yeah, what I said in that video was I wanted to try something else out on top of that. So we started with the Gold SG and the Bartel, and we also used an extension cab. And from there, what I wanted to do was plug the amp of that extension cab in as well and do a 2 amp setup. So in this one, I'm gonna play each of these 2 individual amps later in the video and then put them together. I'm gonna show you, how I've set that up, how I've recorded it, and tell you what I think about it. I had used the Magnatone cab and thought it sounded fantastic with the Bartel. It just sort of brought everything to life a little bit more. There is something really high fidelity about the speaker in the Magnatone, and I thought it lifted the Bartel. But what if I used the Magnatone amp itself? It's got quite a different voice to the Bartel. It's brighter, but not in a Fender way. It's not like edgy or glassy as such. It's a bit more sparkly, and I thought that could work quite well. It does mean that the Bartel is not going to shine so much by itself. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But why don't I show you this setup quickly so you can understand what I'm talking about. So I guess a bit like on that pedal show or something, we're looking at a sort of dry, wet rig, I think. The Bartel is very dry. It's just the black face setting with no reverb. And I did try having both amps with reverb, and it sort of got a bit too much. Maybe we can play around with that in another video. But I thought I'd set it to a pretty dry setting and just make sure that the level on it was enough that it did pair with the Magnatone rather than just getting drowned out. And I've got both amps going into this ABY pedal, which is a good solution, not too expensive, to get 2 amps to work together. You can click between playing either amp separately or then putting them together. And it's definitely cheaper, for example, than like a gig rig G3 thing, which allows you to put 2 amps in. Then the Magnatone, if you've never heard this Magnatone before, this is a Twilighter. It's a 6v6 amp, I believe, 28 watts, but allowed 28 watts, and it's got no master volume, which is why you've not seen it that much on the channel. I can definitely use a power station with it, but I haven't today. I've just let it shine, right, in all its glory. So look, why don't we hear the Bartel as I've set it individually, and then we'll hear the Magnatone and discuss that. Okay, I tried both ways. I tried having the Bartel with its reverb, and I tried having the Magnatone very dry. But then I wanted the effect from the Magnatone, and the reverb in this Magnatone and the way it projects out is so big. It's almost like a plate reverb. And then when you have the dry Bartel with it, it just sort of pares it back down again. If you use the Bartel reverb and not the Magnatone one, it's a lot smaller of an effect overall. And that's what I'm finding with this Magnatone. And maybe it's a head and cab thing as opposed to a combo as well. It just doesn't have, the Bartel doesn't have the largeness. It's not the loudest 28 watt amp either, the Bartel. Which is why we might try a different amp in the next video to pair with the Magnatone, but I'll come back to that. The Magnatone, on the other hand, has this awesome frequency modulation, like tremolo, and I like that for that sort of swampy, bluesy thing, which I've been playing today. I guess what I'm missing is a bit of drive, you know, because the Magnatone, to get that out of it, it would be super loud, and I don't think the Bartel could keep up. But what we'll try in the next video, before we even get to any pedals, is why don't we try the Bartel in its tweed setting where it overdrives a lot more, and we'll compare. But for today, we haven't. I also wanted to show you how I've recorded this. I don't always show you how I've recorded things, but in this case, I think it's important. I've got two mics on the cabs. That's one SM57 on the middle of the Bartel. SM57s tend to record a bit more brightly than a ribbon mic, for example, and the Bartel being darker, I wanted to put that on there. Whereas on the Magnatone, I've used a ribbon mic, which tends to record a bit more dark. And seeing as that's the brighter amp, it seemed like the best way to go. Then I've got a couple of room mics as well over here, sort of filling out and giving you an idea of what it all sounds like in the room. I didn't have the phasing issues today that I thought I might and that I've had before, but once we start playing around with pedals, because if you have a pedal, like a drive pedal that goes into one of the amps and not the other and whacks the volume up, suddenly the phasing can change quite a lot, and that's difficult. So we will have to play around with that. But I'm pretty happy for the first time in this studio really to have got a 2 amp setup that I think is working really well. In the room, everything just feels like bigger and more enveloping, and you feel really creative. So look, I think having 2 amps is great, especially, you know, I might as well, given that I've got a multitude of amps, try these things out and see what I prefer. It was really just laziness for a long time that was stopping me, which I confess. But I think we will keep these 2 amps in the mix. The Magnatone offers something I think fantastic for the style I want to play at the moment. But what I'm thinking is the Bartel, maybe I could swap in the Rift Ainsley Lister for now in the next video and give it that oomph. It's got a master volume, so I can make sure that it matches well with the Magnatone, but it's got a lot of drive on tap. And that will be really interesting. Then we can see how the Bartel and the Rift might play in another video. But yeah, so if you want to see the Rift and the Magnatone together, then I think we'll do that next. Now, let me know down in the comments what you want to see. Like, the world is our oyster, cliched as that is, to try out anything. I can try out other guitars, although this series really is about me bonding with this SG, and we're going to talk a lot more about the SG in some of the other videos. I want to look at the tremolo on here compared to other trem systems and why I really like it. I want to look at how I changed the bridge on it from the one that comes which has nylon saddles and try that again and see what the difference is. I want to try other pickups. I've got some non-humbucking pickups that will fit in here because they're humbucker sized, even though they're other types. So that will be really interesting. And I know someone mentioned in the comments yesterday that Peach have actually got a couple of more of these. They don't get these in often. When I bought mine in 2021 or 22, I think, there were only 2 then, and there are only 2 now. So they look very similar to this one weight-wise as well. And then we're going to build a pedal board that makes this really cool. I would love to get hold of a, is it Kingsley pedals? The one, I think they've got tubes in them. I might be wrong. Do I mean Kingsley? Yeah, Kingsley Page, Kingsley Jester. I might mean Kingsley. If I don't, I'll put something else up on screen. But maybe I should look into one of those. I've had just a lot of people tell me that that would be the last sort of step in the overdrive journey. But I've got other overdrives that I really like. I'm not sure this is a fuzz rig. We'll find out. But yeah, some modulations, some delays, some univibe, some other tremolos that we can try, and everything. I think this will be a lot of fun. So yeah, does the Magnatone and the Bartel work well? Absolutely, they do. but I want to tweak around with the Bartel and see if we can get more out of it. Oh, that's the next video, sorry. The Rift will be the one after that. We're going to use the Bartel with the Tweed next. Because the Bartel is such an amazing amp, but I remember talking to Ainsley Lister when he was my teacher, and he was telling me that in his 2-amp setup, his sort of drier amp, which I think is the brown Vibrolux reissue, by itself it's just very dull and boring, but if you took it out of the mix with the other amp, it would remove a lot of what you need, right? So unfortunately in the 2-amp setups, often one of them is sort of like sacrificial in this sense, which it is. But anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the sound of this one. I certainly did. And I'll see you on the next one.